NBC5 News at 6 starts now.
Nearly 2 years after a tragic plane crash, the investigation is over. Good evening, and thank you for choosing NBC5 News at 6. I'm Craig Smolin.
And I'm Kristen Hosfeld. It's a story that shook the community. A Grants Pass man, his son, and a family friend all killed in a plane crash off the Brookings coast. In tonight's top story, NBC5's Natalie Weber is revealing what investigators believe happened that night. Natalie?
Craig, Kristen, the report indicates the plane likely crashed into the ocean after John Belnap became disoriented in the dark. The NTSB says a moonless night gave the pilot few visual cues, and the plane's path over the ocean took a tragic turn. The final report is out.
It's one of those tragedies that we see in the news all the time.
The night of the plane crash, Dr. Jim Novak didn't think he'd be so close to this tragedy. July 4th will mark 2 years since John and Max Belnap and Ryan Merker were killed when their plane plunged into the ocean off the coast of Brookings.
I really felt terrible for obviously the family and the kids because this was an exciting trip for them.
In the National Transportation Safety Board's concluding report, Novak was one of the only witnesses. In that moment, he had no idea the gravity of what he had heard.
We'd been to Crescent City to watch the fireworks with some friends.
The report indicates the night was moonless, and the plane was scheduled to fly from Brookings to Grants Pass at 11 p.m. Novak had just gotten home and was getting ready for bed.
I was just kind of starting to go to sleep, and I heard an airplane take off.
The longer he listened, Novak realized his initial assumption may have been off.
And all of a sudden, the engine cut. No more sound, and I assumed he was landing.
It wasn't until the next day that Novak began putting the pieces together.
We did some checking, and we saw on the news that a plane was lost, overdue, and then the child's backpack had floating up on shore, and they were still searching for it, and the boats went out.
Belknap's logbook was recovered from the crash area 2 miles off the coast of Brookings. Notes made by the NTSB reveal Belknap's night flying experience was limited at 23 hours total. The other 184 hours he had under his belt were during the day. The report notes external visual cues were not easily seen, and Belknap's lack of recent night flying likely caused him to become disoriented, prompting the crash. Now knowing the truth, Novak looks back on that evening in a different light.
Because I didn't worry about it, just something that happened, but in playing it back, I said definitely. I never heard the engine start again. It just stopped.
The report also indicates the main wreckage of the plane was never recovered. It's unclear if any mechanical problems were a factor in the crash. Live in studio, Natalie Weber, NBC5 News.